think that the best way to think about truth is like something like a common resource, like water or air that we depend upon. Our politics depend on agreed upon definition of where we live, who we are, what the earth is, what is an act of killing and what is not that. And just like you can think about common resources like water and air as something that could be polluted, you could see how corporations and states sometimes would pollute that very possibility to create that a common understanding of the world in which we live. Architecture, for me, in this context, was seen very much as a sort of an analytical frame to analyze politics from not only kind of politics as in a mundane sense of the word, but politics as a kind of an act of radical confrontation.
Since 2011, tens of thousands of people have disappeared into a vast network of prisons and detention centres run by the Syrian government. Many have been taken to Sydnaya, a notorious and terrifying prison where detainees are incarcerated in horrific conditions, systematically and brutally tortured. The memories of those who survive it are the only available resource with which to understand what happens within Sydnaya.
We had to find a way to understand what was happening there purely through witness testimony and satellite imagery. So the methodology came out of that. That was what forensic architecture proposed, to work with witnesses and architecture to access memory and to understand what was happening there.
We are not official investigators. We're not commissioned by the government to do our investigations. We do not make the rules of the court. The way to kind of still fight for accountability in those cases is to bring together different civil society groups, to bring together people from across the disciplines, and to ask everyone to reappropriate their skills in order to look back into the state, to perform counter-forensics.
Shortly after 5 p.m., on the 6th of April 2006, Halit Yozgat was found dead behind the counter of his family-run internet cafe in Holländische Straße 82, Kassel, Germany. The perpetrators were later identified as members of the National Socialist Underground, or the NSU, a neo-Nazi group whose core allegedly consisted of 3 people. The only surviving member of those 3, Beate Zschäpe, currently faces a criminal trial in Munich. During the police investigation into the Kassel murder, it emerged that an intelligence agent of the state of Hesse named Andreas Temme was present at the shop around the time of the murder. He did not disclose this fact to the police, but was later identified from his internet records.
We were contacted by the initiative called Unraveling the NSU Complex. It is an initiative that has assembled around the families of the victims, but it comprises of artists, filmmakers, activists. They thought that the trial in Munich was not willing to address the issue in all its complexity. By no means are they trying to seek justice outside the court, but they wanted to use their tribunal as a means to pressure the court to ask questions that are central to the German society today.
When we have questions about whether someone has witnessed an event, immediately this becomes a question of the senses. It becomes a sensorium question.
This kind of hyperesthesia is a term that is interested in that, the hypersensitivity to the event as it is registered through a kind of a general sensorium.
Well, we're calling this at the moment the Grenfell Data Archive. Essentially, what we're hoping to produce is a database that is navigable in space and in time. And that model, which is navigable in 3D space, becomes kind of like the substrate onto which we project videos and images of the fire from the night.
We don't have that power of the state to establish cordons around site, nor to enter into those cordons. So something from inside that cordoned off site, exceptional site, need to communicate itself outwards. You cannot simply look at the medical or at the material or at the media aspect of things, or at the botanical. Has plants died or were destroyed by some kind of form of attack or pollution? What you need is to work in a multidisciplinary way. You need to work with filmmakers and scientists and lawyers and architects and structural engineers and perhaps fire engineers, etc. And you need to build a case that mirrors the complexity of the environment in which crime happened. It needs to operate in a way that allows for a community of practice to gather around a certain claim and demand and call for change.
Of course, we support with our votes and we support with our solidarity, but we also need to be smart about the ways that each and every one of our expertises can help to kind of make this fight more real and more relevant, and to kind of express a strong position towards a leadership that would otherwise not be listening in to those voices.